Hello and welcome everybody to 2001. 20th anniversary of me buying the first driver I ever personally owned, the Northwestern titanium matrix thing here, all right? Now, in 2001, I had very little golf experience. I had been golfing a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. Mostly it was just range, right? We'd go to the range, we'd have fun in high school, and that's kind of my golfing experience until that point. In 2001, I was in college, and I was like, I'm going to get serious about golf, and this was 20 years ago, and I was like, I'm going to buy a set, and so I got some irons, some custom fit knockoff irons that were custom fit for me, and I didn't have any budget left over for a driver, so I just went to Goodwill, just a thrift store, and just bought this. Okay, not this actual one. The one I actually bought, I threw away or gave away like 2 months after I bought it. But I found this at Goodwill this year, and I was like, oh, it brings back memories. I want to make a video about this. So I bought this one, okay? So this is not my original driver. Now, when you're starting out, you make some kind of compromises when you're looking at your equipment, and I came to some realizations, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But first, let's get this under the camera and have a closer look about some identifying features. We're going to start on the sole for identifying features. Northwestern titanium matrix, that's a nice way of saying aluminum. The wood number right here, 1. And these 2 diagonal little flutes right here. It's interesting how these bring back memories just looking down at this thing. You can see this particular one has just been chewed up. As we spin around the skirt, you can see the Callaway knockoff gray. They painted all the way around here. The face, just tons and tons of grooves, like they're expecting you to hit this, out of the rough. And you can see the aluminum oxidation layer. People say, well, titanium has that too. Yeah, but it doesn't look like this. This is really, to me, this looks very aluminum. And yeah, it looks like this particular one has been hit out of the off the fairway, hopefully, maybe the rough. And then the top line, the triangle, which I remember, and I don't know what that is, just a whole bunch of kind of what you expect how these clubs are treated. New golfers. We all were new golfers at some point. Little ferrule here, just a little plastic, tiny ferrule. The shaft is not really all that spectacular. Graphite shaft, certified graphite, because graphite needs to be certified. X101. I don't see any flex or anything on here. This is just my sticker, 2001, as I mentioned before. A little bit of gold up here, and just some aftermarket grip with no markings, even on the butt here. It's just concentric circles. No idea what that's all about. So, let's see if it feels as bad as it looks. This sounds like I remember it, but it feels a little different. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So, this represents more to me than just a golf club and golf club, right? For me, and it's not just nostalgia, there was actually a paradigm shift, right? Where I was like, I borrowed my buddy's dad's TaylorMade sets, okay, throughout the years. So starting in like 1998, I think it's the first time I went to a par 3 using his set, and then in 99, I think I used it once, and then in 2000, I played a couple of times with his TaylorMade set, and that's what made me want to get my own set, okay? And so I went out and I bought this, And the first time I took it to the range with my buddy, we're there, and he's like, oh, look at your cheap little, driver. And I hit my irons as well as could be expected. But I lined up with this, and I hit this exactly like I hit his dad's TaylorMade drivers. Just this big, sweeping slice off into nowhere. Great. But I came to this realization, oh man, because the driver that I had a gold, it was like a really light gold shaft that was super flexible, like buggy whip flexible, like trying to hit the golf ball with that, crack, you know? And it felt totally different than the TaylorMade, but I had the exact same results. And at that point, it settled on me. Like, I kind of knew this intellectually, but emotionally, I just accepted that, oh man, golfing is a skill that comes back to me, not the equipment. And that's what this club represents to me. When it was that realization, it's like, oh man, if I can't learn on this, if I learn on this, then I'll be able to hit those nicer. But if it doesn't matter what I learn on. I need to learn how to play golf. And so I took responsibility of that and learned how to play golf. People still argue about that. They're like, we've seen you. You can't play golf. Golf always wins, all right? Just settle down. And so what happened with this club, okay? The original one that I bought, like I went to the range with it, I golfed with it once, and then I was like done with it. I'm like, the other shift was realizing that golf is on me. I wanted something that I enjoyed looking at. At the time, I had lots of exposure to TaylorMade. I knew Callaway was there. So my friend's dad had his old TaylorMade Super Steel. I might have made a video about it already. Steel TaylorMade driver with the copper finish on top, and I really liked the look of the copper because it was TaylorMade, and I was explaining, and he had a titanium bubble too at the time, and I was like, "Can I buy this?" And he's like, "Sure, I'll give it to you for $10." I was like, "Done, $10." This was back when cash was around, so I gave him $10, and I walked away with the TaylorMade, and this just went out the window. I don't even know what I did with it. And at that point, I was like, sweet. I learned how to play with that TaylorMade, how to hit relatively straight shots for 50% of the time, however often I hit the fairway. But either way, I enjoyed golf, and I, learned to just accept and have fun with my lack of skill. Now, the question that I have for everybody watching, what was your first club that you owned? Were you just like a amateur, a top amateur when you were a kid, and companies would give you would win prizes, and you could go spend, in the clubhouse, and would you just, get all this stuff for free? Did you pick up golf later in life like me, like in college, and just buy your own stuff? Did you ever buy a, thrift store driver to start out with? And how did that experience work out for you? For me, it was very short-lived. I made some realizations about life and things, and golfing and having fun and enjoying and recreating, and it was fun. So it brought back lots of memories when I saw this at Goodwill this year, and I had to get it. Excited to read your comments. As usual, if you want to support this channel, you can support us on Patreon. It's just general support. All that money comes right back here to help fund this channel. I post a couple updates a couple times a month. You can also support this channel by visiting my Amazon shop. I'll put a link in the description below. I am an Amazon associate. I make proceeds from qualifying purchases. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Vintage Golfer.